I just saw a list of the worst places to take a first date. And I don't
places, huh?
Yeah, I don't agree with them at all.
Like what?
Okay, so one of them is going to your parents' house. That's about the only one I agree with, okay?
All right.
Number one is going to the movies.
Really?
The worst place for a first date is going to the movies.
I don't see that, but okay.
I don't either. That's where I spent my first
Although I've had a
dates.
lot of horrific first dates. The only best first date I ever had was with Amy, and I married her.
Well, absolutely. You're like, okay, we're good.
Yeah.
Second date, proposal.
The rest of them I was just horrible at.
Well, dating is hard. Dating is just so awkward, and you're trying to get to know the person.
Well, when they get to know me, it's like, oh, okay. I'll call you.
Moving on.
Moving on in life.
No.
I'm out of here.
On this list also, okay, coming in lower, much, much, much lower than going to the movies, it said a funeral.
What's wrong with that?
Who takes a date to a funeral?
What's wrong with that?
For the first date.
Okay.
Hi, would you like to go to my great-grandmother's funeral? No, I would not. No, absolutely not.
I'm sure there's a circumstance, you know?
What?
Would you, I don't know.
I am turning my
Benefit
face
of the
to
doubt.
you.
Benefit of the doubt. Something, I'm sure. So I move on. So Scott, I'm just curious, because Scott's got a great marriage.
Yes, he does.
He talks about his wife
fun.
all the time in a good light, just to let you know, just in case your wife is around and hearing this.
I am blessed.
Yes. So the memorable date, I guess it would be your first date?
First date
Okay. What
in
happened?
Raleigh. I flew to Raleigh to see her.
From
We were
where?
dating a little long distance from Tennessee.
You were in Tennessee at the time. Chattanooga or something like that, right?
Yeah, Chattanooga.
So Chattanooga, fly to Raleigh, where she lived. You didn't.
Yeah, Now, let's keep this in context. This
Okay.
was late 2000, kind of pre-smartphone, so I don't even know if I had a phone, as crazy as that sounds. So I arrive at the airport. She knows what time I'm getting there, and I wait, and I wait.
Oh,
And
she
I
was going to
waited.
pick you up.
She's picking me up. Yeah.
Okay.
And I waited almost an hour before she got there.
You got stood
And I
up.
started thinking, all right, she's changed her mind. I need to start looking for a flight back home
Oh, that would
because
be
I guess she got cold feet. She showed up. She said she had a work thing and got caught up with that. She was working, so she didn't make it to the airport and
Oh,
apologized.
good. Just
Okay.
think how that could have went. I mean, Scott, if you had been successful in finding a flight and leaving, she would have gotten there and went, oh, he never came.
He'd still be single today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you waited.
Yeah. It worked out
It
because
did
we're married.
work out. Yeah.
Yeah.
With a couple of kids, yeah. Looks
21
good.
years later.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
On His Radio.
Hearing about these first dates, like for instance, they say, if you're going out on a first date, don't you ever take anybody to a funeral home or a a movie. Okay.
I get the funeral home.
If that's what you say. Go golfing instead, I guess. I don't know. 800-447-7234. You should see the texts that are coming in.
Yeah, Rachel texted and said, here's what we did on the first date. We went to see Sing 2, and then we went to Beef O'Brady's for dinner, and it must have worked. They just got married.
What is Sing 2?
Sing is the animated movie. It's really good.
I haven't been to the movies in ages. I just watch everything. I stream
this
it.
streams now.
I got a nice sound bar.
Yeah, well, this one streams. Both 1 and 2. Heather texted and said, our first date, listen to this, was to a Broadway musical.
Really?
He took her to New York City, I guess. Yeah, I mean, because they lived in Jersey.
Okay.
And the date, they just
So
went.
to be at Broadway then, yeah.
Right, exactly. They went to see Cats. And they've been married for like 20-some-odd
No
years.
way.
Right?
Way to go, dude.
He knew how to do a first date.
So Holly's here at 800-447-7234. What happened at your first date?
We started dating in COVID 2020. Our first date, we're walking around a deserted college campus because they sent all the college students home for spring break. They told them never to come back the rest of the semester, so it was a little weird. It gave plenty of time for talking without, strangers looking at you weird.
Whose idea was that?
He has a lab on campus, and the lab
Oh.
was still open. We'd walk around, and it was probably more weird because we're used to seeing people. It was good, though, because it gave time for quality time to get to know each other.
So how'd it work out?
It worked out pretty good. We've been married for 2 years in March.
Hey!
Oh, congratulations!
You had me at college campus.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
His radio.
All right, we're getting texts about first dates and memorable first dates and what happened. So Joe texted in and said, when my wife and I were dating, we attended a concert separately. But I saw her in the show or after the show in the lobby, and I said, hey, we're going to go get some ice cream.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Hey, want to go get some ice cream?
Hey, honey. Yeah, and so he said, here's where we're going, but that's not exactly where they went. It's
What do you mean?
He sent her to the wrong ice cream place.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Joe?
Yeah. So she went because she was interested. She was like, he's so cute. And so she went. She sat in a booth. No Joe. She waited some more. No Joe. No Joe. Yeah. And so he called her or messaged her when he got home. They had a laugh about it, and they're married with a couple of kids today.
That's nice.
I know.
How beautiful, Joe.
Yeah, she must have thought he was really cute. Tanya texted and said, my husband and I had a first date at the Waffle House.
Hey, all right, Tanya.
I know. They went to the Waffle House.
Scattered, smothered, and covered. Come on now. I know my order.
She was in love.
Michelle's here at 800-447-7234. What happened, Michelle, first date?
We went to my church's Christmas or New Year's Eve party, and after the New Year's Eve party, we hit black ice while he was driving me home. We flipped his truck onto my side of the truck and had to hitchhike back to the party.
And to hear that you both were safe after that horrific accident on ice is amazing.
Well, when the truck flipped, we didn't have our seatbelts on. He held on to me. I was sitting in the middle, and he held on to me. So when we landed onto my side of the truck, I was still in the middle of the seat because he was holding me so tight.
He was your hero then, and he's your hero now.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
His radio.
So here's Diana. She is a grandma at a gas station, and she sees on the ground a Ziploc bag full of cash.
In a Ziploc?
In a Ziploc bag.
Wow.
Full of cash. And it looks like it's a lot of money. So she calls the police and say, hey, here it is. You know, I found this in the parking lot. Thing is, she never opened it. She never counted it. She didn't look at it. It was over $14,000.
In a Ziploc?
In a Ziploc bag. I know. Crazy, right?
Only put goldfish in those things. Okay.
Not money. And not over 14 grand. It was almost $15,000.
Wow.
It was just underneath it. Just underneath. Here's the thing. She could have used it. Seriously.
Yeah.
She's a grandma. She's still working. Her car breaks down. And she walks 3 miles one way to work and back every day.
So she's walking 6 miles to and from work every single
Every day.
Finds almost 15 and turns it in.
She's in her 60s.
And she turned that money in. Good for her.
She turned that money
Good
in.
for her.
She could have got a car, you know?
Well,
got a good used car or something
Yeah,
like that.
pretty nice used car.
So this really spoke loudly to the sergeant in the sheriff's department that actually came out and got the money.
I bet, yeah.
And he's like, we got to do something for her. He starts a GoFundMe campaign.
Aw.
Talks to a car dealership. $62,000 for a Jeep. Yeah. The GoFundMe page raised over $82,000.
She got a nice Jeep.
She got herself a really nice Jeep. She does not have to walk to work 3 miles one way ever again. Wow. And her simple act of kindness, she did the right thing, right? Hopefully everybody would do that, right? And she led the way. 65-year-old grandma still has to work, walking that much to work. And then she hands in the bag. No, she didn't bat an eye. She didn't look at. She didn't count the money or anything. She's like, "Hey, I found this. You know, here you go."
And now she's got a Jeep, a nice enough Jeep where she can put all them grandbabies in it.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
His radio.
So here's the Turkish. Thank you. The Turkish embassy in D.C. This guy walks in and looks at the guy in the embassy and says, "I want to help out with all the relief that's going to the earthquake victims in Turkey." And so he hands them some cash.
Wow.
$30 million to help out.
That's a lot.
I know. That just blows your mind. He's like from a different country. He's not even from the U.S.
No.
He just walks into the embassy and says, "I want to help. Here's $30 million."
Yeah, I don't think he's from Turkey or Syria
Pakistan.
either. Okay.
He was Pakistan. Is anonymous. Doesn't want people to know that he just went and did this. Is not doing it to brag.
Which is the best.
He's doing it just to help. And $30 million is going to help out a lot of people.
I can't even imagine. So it's 9 days removed from the earthquake that happened in Turkey and Syria. Boots on the ground. There are relief efforts going on. Our partner Convoy and Hope is there getting that relief to people. They are still listening for heartbeats to see if there are people that can be pulled from the rubble.
And some have been.
Some have, even yesterday. And so these are ongoing efforts. It's going to take a lot of money to help those people medically. It's going to take a lot of money to rebuild. And this guy, it was on his heart. Wow, it was on his heart.
Walks in that embassy and drops down $30 million to do the efforts. And I can't do $30 million. You can't do $30 million, but Convoy of Hope is there. Mm-hmm. And if you go to our website at hisradio.com, you'll see Convoy of Hope at the top of the page. You click on that, and you'll be able to help out and do something as well, because it's going to be years that they're putting their lives back together.
Right.
And
supporting Convoy of Hope is just one way to show that love of Jesus.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
On His Radio.
Such a good reminder, right? That when you are just going through it, run to the Father because He's there. It's Rob and Liz in the morning, His Radio.
It's exactly what this church in Singapore is wanting to do. They want to keep all of their students at their church. And so they're kind of thinking out of a box. I love this. They have 5,000 people that show up on a given Sunday.
At this church in Singapore. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. And so what they've done is they have invited anywhere from 12 years old to mid-20s to come in and be part of their services.
How so?
So they're letting them run audiovisual. They're letting them take pictures, be part of the photography team. So they're doing different, even some worship. They're leading some worship. So different jobs or tasks inside the church they're letting them invest in, but they're also paired up with a mentor that says, okay, I'm going to help you figure out how to do this and the best ways and the best practices. And the kids are sticking around.
I love that.
I do too. So you've got a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old that's totally invested because they're running the show pretty much. When they get ready to go to college, that seems to be a really hard age, that 18 to 22, 23.
It's a crossroads of life.
It is.
Yeah.
And they're starting to make their own decisions and find their own relationship with Christ, not their parents. And so they're starting to leave the church, even for a couple of years. So they're trying to keep that from happening.
My son Elijah is getting ready to go into high school. So middle school to high school. And one thing that I'm very proud of him of is at our church, they have something similar with middle school students and high school students where they're running the sound and they're doing the worship and all of this. And so he is doing sound and lights.
See, look at that.
Yeah.
Now he's taking ownership of that service and can be proud of the product that he's putting out. And when you're proud of something, you support it.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
On His Radio.
Nothing is more aggravating than this. It's Rob and Liz in the morning, His Radio.
Absolutely. An entire community came together because they wanted to put together a puzzle. And this was like a big just community event. 60,000 pieces at a funeral home. Why they had it at a funeral home, I have no idea. But they were showing up, putting this puzzle together. Of course, it's been taking weeks and months and this kind of thing. So they get to the end of it and they're like, yeah, like we're almost done. All right, where's that? Wait a minute. Hold on. Where did that piece go?
They're missing a piece.
The last
piece
Obviously,
of the puzzle
it's the last piece.
And so they can't make a world record then.
They can't do anything.
All that time and energy, 60,000 some odd pieces, and there's only one piece missing.
Right. 8 feet tall, 29 feet long, just to give you perspective on how big this thing is. It's, 3 feet taller than I am, which is crazy. 60,000 pieces, and one piece is standing between them and the world record.
I wonder if it's underneath it.
They have looked everywhere.
How can you look underneath that big old puzzle like that? It would fall apart, wouldn't it?
No, but they're looking under the table. Oh, you're saying under the puzzle
Under the puzzle, because the puzzle's on the ground.
Well, I think you would see maybe a little bump in
I don't know.
maybe.
That thing is so big, and the
is so
pieces
big.
are so tiny, it could be anywhere underneath that. That's just a thought of mine. I don't know if it is.
My stomach starts turning when I think about that. Like all the work and time that went into, and enjoyment, because putting together a puzzle, if you're doing it with other people and getting to know them. What?
Unless, so I would do this. I'm sorry. I would have taken the piece, just one piece, and keep it for a week. And see how many people would start looking for it everywhere.
And then at the end of it, you just show up with your piece?
Yeah, just kind of show up and put it in and walk out. And then all of a sudden, there it is.
You and I will never make a puzzle together.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
On his radio.
No more cake. No more cake. They say in the office, no more cake. This guy is on a bandwagon, and he doesn't want any cake in his office whatsoever.
Yeah, well, this is Britain's food regulator. Mm-hmm. And she's like the food czar. And she said, stop bringing in a cake. She said it's honestly leading to unhealthy food choices. And I'm like, madam, I know we don't live in England and we're not under her jurisdiction, but madam, let me eat the cake if I want it. I'm an adult. I'm grown up.
I like how Liz says, madam. Speaking right to her, madam.
Right.
Just like that. Listen, there's always a celebration at his radio behind the scenes. And they like to go to a certain place, and the team will get a cake.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not every day.
It's every week, it seems like.
It does seem like every week. Let me tell you. So I come in this morning, and I go fix my coffee, and I'm like, oh, good cup of coffee. Ooh, there's coffee cake or something.
Is that what that is in there?
I think so. So somebody must have brought this yesterday. But I will tell you, 9 times out of 10, you walk in the break room, and there's some sort of snacky snack.
Jake and Ninja, did you partake in any of that coffee cake at all in the past 2 days?
100%.
Oh, boy.
All right. So is it coffee cake? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and how is it?
Oh, it was pretty good.
Who even made it?
Sally.
I bet
of
it was.
course.
I bet it was Sally.
Sally.
Yeah.
Who else?
Right. So if it's not being catered in, Sally's doing it.
She does.
Okay. Let me get this lady Sally's number.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
On his radio.
Evidently, if this is your profile picture, okay? If your profile picture, you have a cat in it, they say that you're more attractive.
You get more foot traffic on your dating profile.
If you have a cat in this whole thing. The only person I know to ask this would be Scott Watson, who does our news.
Oh, okay.
Because Scott and his wife are cat people.
Yep.
So, is it true?
I think it helped me back when we started dating and talking, and we dated sort of long distance. She was asking me about, pets, and I knew she had a cat. And I told her, I like cats. I didn't have a cat at the time because I couldn't have one where I lived. But I'd had a couple growing up, and I think that helped my chances with her.
Sealed the deal.
Liking cats.
The whole cat thing, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, why not dogs? I see. And the only reason I say that is because I see more dogs, like in people's profile pics on social media and that kind of thing, and so it's just odd to me for the cats.
Well, I think Ninja has a comparison there because you can get a dog to sit still. What about a cat, Ninja?
It's a little trickier. Because they like to wiggle and they're flopping everywhere.
Yeah,
like a
it just-
rag.
Not
doesn't
quite
work.
as compliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, it wouldn't work like, back in the day before you met your wife, Amy, Rob. If you'd have had a cat in a profile, or if she'd have had a cat in a profile pic, you would have steered clear because you're
I'm
allergic.
allergic. Yeah.
So that doesn't work for anyone that's allergic. And I don't dislike cats. I just don't like them for the most part.
Okay. But I didn't know that a cat makes you attractive.
I don't
Because
know that
I've never had a cat in my profile picture. It ain't helping me.
I don't know that it makes you more attractive.
I've tried cowboy hats. That don't work either.
No, I don't. I think it makes the person interested in you more.
They said attractive.
I don't see how that's
This whole
possible.
thing says attractive.
Maybe it's because they're not looking at us. They're looking at the cat.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
On his radio.
It is Rob and Liz in the morning. His radio. If you want to live longer, maybe lean in a little bit.
To what?
Yeah, you.
Why?
Because you're going to tell us.
I
You're
don't
going to
know.
drop the knowledge.
I have no knowledge to give. I did see something, by the way,
Yeah.
that there are certain activities, certain sports that you do that could increase your longevity in life.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So they say tennis is the top one. You might gain another 9.7 years.
That's a lot.
And if you like to jog, it's just about 3.2 years longer that they say that you'll live if you have that kind of activity.
Tennis is, to me personally, a lot more fun than jogging.
It could be. It
Yeah.
depends on what you like.
Yeah.
Badminton is just underneath tennis at 6 years extended in your life. Soccer has 4. Cycling has 3. Swimming's down to about 3.4. And here's what they said. They said, okay, tennis, of course, it's a different type of sport. You get more exercise out of cycling and swimming
sure.
and all that other stuff. However, there's more social activity to tennis. And so you mix the social where you're actually with people and having conversation with people and the activity of tennis. That's why you're adding more years to your life.
Well, think about that. If you are alone, completely alone, you never have any human interaction, I can see where it's not good for you. So if you combine physical activity with that social aspect, absolutely, you're happier, your body, you're working your body out. So, yeah.
It makes sense. I can't play tennis. I'm horrible at it, and I'm too competitive, so I think that would take years away from my life.
I see that with soccer for myself. I would injure myself constantly, so I get what you're saying there.
I get mad when I can't play tennis.
Yeah.
I mean, I really get mad.
When you miss the ball?
Not just miss the ball. I hit it over the fence.
Okay.
I hit it all over the place.
Listen, I played pickleball not that long ago. You need to pick up pickleball. That's fun. That's a lot of fun.
Is there
so
aggression?
it's kind of like, yes, it's
you
a little.
hit people?
No.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
On His Radio.
There is a thing that's coming back that will bring people back to their childhood or their kids' childhood. It's purple. It's a dinosaur. The I love you, you love me dude.
I was about to sing that.
Barney.
Right?
Making a comeback, and it's animated this time, so totally different. Well, not completely different, but different from, the dude in the outfit.
Yeah, I think they're making a good choice with the animation so they don't have to, filming with kids is difficult. Because
That's the best part,
No, what?
having the kids on.
I like the kids. I liked watching the show with my daughter and the kids. And it's cute. But I'm saying from their perspective, filming it's hard to work with children and animals. Because
Okay.
they don't always do. Maybe you don't
Or
know this as a
dinosaurs.
parent, but they don't do what you want them to do all the time.
Really? I had no idea.
I know.
So here's something. Scott does our news, right? Here's something that Scott prides himself in with Barney.
Yeah.
Wait till you hear this. What'd you do, Scott?
So I just something about Barney just crawls up my skin. Okay, I just don't like Barney.
How do you really
I'm so
feel?
thankful that my kids never got into Barney. They were Sesame Street, Daniel Tiger Neighborhood, Blue's Clues kind of kids. Never got into Barney, and I'm so thankful.
How
about
did you
that.
even do that?
Sometimes when the TV was on, if they came across it, it's like, hey, let's watch something else, and you skip over it.
Oh, you did
Get them to
that.
something real quick.
You're in control of the remote, huh?
Gotcha. So you find
bit.
something, distraction.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it. My daughter and I would sing all the little songs. Me and my Teddy getting all ready.
Oh, no.
Getting all ready for bed. That was a little more soulful.
she got old Broadway on
You're
us.
listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
On His Radio.
Jennifer was on her front porch pouring down rain, and she's just sitting listening to the rain, so peaceful. And all of a sudden she sees this little dog, maybe a Chihuahua type, that's in her yard. It's limping, and she's like, oh, I got to do something. So she runs out, she gets the dog. She realizes he's in worse shape than she even thought. So she takes him to the emergency vet, and they get him all cleaned up, try to fix him up some. And then she says, is he microchipped? Oh, yeah. They check it out because she has no idea who the dog belongs to. And they find the name of his owner and him. Now, his name is Nugget. And Nugget's a little older. And they found that he belonged to Jesse. So there's a phone number. There's an address. The address is New Mexico.
Okay, so where was the dog?
Jennifer lives in Travelers Rest, South Carolina.
No way. In the Carolinas?
Yeah. This
Come on.
dog is 2,000 plus miles from home.
For how long?
7 years he's been gone.
That's amazing.
So Jesse, the owner of the dog, thought he had just wandered off because he was kind of old, and she thought he wandered off and he was just going to pass away. Did not happen. Don't know what he's been doing for the last 7 years. If he had a family, he's just been traveling the whole time on those little teeny tiny legs. But now an organization in the upstate of South Carolina got him home.
Nice.
What they did was they brought his owner from 7 years ago, Jesse, brought her to the upstate of South Carolina and reunited them and I guess sent them back home.
How nice.
Isn't that sweet?
And at least he gets to be home.
Right.
You know, in his final years.
Yeah, and she thought he was gone. He'd passed away. They came to terms with it and moved on. Nope, he's just been hitchhiking